Hey everyone, welcome back to AWS On Air, where we're live here in Anaheim, California for AWS's Reinforce Conference 2023. I'm one of your hosts, Jeff Marushak. I am a senior solutions architect on our DoD Air Force team and back for day 2 at Reinforce. But I'm also joined by my
What am I to you? What am I to you,
yesterday
Jeff? What am I?
I said partner in crime yesterday, and you had a little...
I thought we were going to be criminals, but then you said no, and I was like, all right, fine, I'll abide by the laws.
My good friend AM in the AM.
Wow. I'm AM Grobelny. I'm a professional theme park attendee, and I am a host here on AWS On Air, and we've got some wonderful guests down there from Trend Micro, Fernando and Mike. Let's start with you, Fernando. Tell the people about yourself,
For
please.
sure, yeah. Like, I'm Fernando Cardoso, Manager Solutions Architect for the AWS Alliances. Have like a lot of fun with AWS teams across like United States, having like all the workshops, immersion days, modernization workshops, helping customers to understand how they can protect their cloud infrastructure with like our technologies.
Got to do my job here for a sec. I didn't hear game day in there, so we gotta.
Oh yeah, game day. It's an interesting one. I need to show you what we did with the VR stuff.
Okay.
Oh,
Okay.
yeah.
We'll talk.
Yeah,
We'll talk.
for sure.
Mike, go ahead.
Yeah, and I'm Mike Milner. I'm VP of Cloud Technology at Trend Micro. I spend a lot of my time talking with customers, making sure that their security needs are being met. They're very big into the cloud, and we're here to help them.
Very nice. So do we want to just start before we jump in? I know we're here to talk about Trend Cloud 1, right? And Trend Vision 1. But before we do that, do we want to talk about Trend Micro in general? Give the people an idea. In case they're new to security, they haven't heard Trend Micro before, just give a quick overview of what the company is and does and how you help meet security needs.
Yeah. Trend Micro is a really interesting company. It's been around for like 35 years, which in computers is forever, and in security is like, oh my goodness. So I think the company, to be able to survive that long, and not just survive, but thrive, anticipating threats, we've been through like everything, and we're big into the cloud. We were actually at the very first AWS reInvent.
Awesome.
I think, the only security booth on the floor at the time.
It's incredible.
So we have been with AWS for a long time. I mean, there's so much new stuff that's come out. Trend Micro's been working on protecting the cloud, expanding into the overall enterprise. We do operational technology, informational technology, cloud technology, like everything in the enterprise. Yeah.
It's incredible. Okay, great. So we're here to talk about what? Trend Cloud 1, I believe, is the name, right?
Yeah, Cloud 1 and Vision 1. Like it's like
Tell us about that.
Yeah, it's if you think like about like a Trend Micro, right? We are simplify the way how customers are looking for the cloud security risk through our XDR platform, right? This is really important because so many organizations today, they have like a different like technologies for endpoint, for email, for networking, for cloud, and like keeping all that visibility for the risk, it is so complex sometimes, right? While we are trying to simplify through like the Vision 1 and Cloud 1, it is how you can unify that risk visibility across your entire organization and create like what we call a cloud detection and response for easily like, if you have like any kind of like a security incident in an EC2 Lambda functions, how you can automate that process pretty quickly, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm by trade. I know I said professional theme park attendant. That's my day job, but my passion, of course, I'm a software developer typically, right?
Awesome.
So I'm a developer advocate, but I was an SDE for a long time. Security was kind of, for most SDEs, I would say, I don't want to speak for all of us, but maybe on the back burner for a lot of us, right? We didn't, and that's slowly shifting left, as they say, right? And we're now getting more engaged in those processes. But I've dipped my toes into the security world, and one of the first things that I learned was all of these disparate systems, right? All of these, like you're monitoring security events at all these different, like you're generating data constantly. What you're describing, it's so hard to actually map out what's happening in your systems, right? And it sounds like that's what, especially in cloud. Cloud even shifts it to a different area, right? So you're mentioning Lambda. Security in Lambda is way different than security on a
like
long-running
EC2,
server.
or EKS even, right? It's way different too.
So how have you all at Trend Micro approached cloud security? What has that changed your approach to how you've built your products?
Well, I think that's actually kind of, you described the evolution, right? In the early days of the cloud, it was workloads, right? People
It's a
are
server
taking their
somewhere
servers,
else,
putting
right?
them in the cloud, and Trend Micro's all over that. I think IDC released a report where #1 in workload protection, and we've been in that position for the last 5 years straight. So we know how to protect systems. We've got the best protection. But what's happening more and more, I mean, here today at Reinforce, at reInvent, there's so many new features being announced, new capabilities, new changes in how services work. It's no longer just how do you protect a workload, it's how do you help us stay on top of all of the different types of protection that we need.
Right.
And that is really hard for customers, even the ones who have big security teams. It's just too much to keep track of. That's why we're really excited about the AWS Built-In announced this week. It's not new security, it's making it easier for our customers to deploy security.
The easy button.
Yes.
I love it.
So that was announced yesterday?
Yesterday.
Yeah, at the keynote.
Can we stop right there and say, what is AWS Built-In?
AWS Built-In was a way that AWS was working with ISVs globally to simplify the methodology of like deploying and integrate technologies from ISVs with the AWS technologies. Like imagine, for example, if a customer has AWS CloudTrail, Security Hub, GuardDuty, like any of like those technologies, how like ISV can deploy specifically package that they call, right? Or MRC, basically they call, right? With the customer's technology. Instead of like taking like hours or days or weeks to deploy all this technology fully integrated, how you can like just press the easy button in the AWS Built-In and deliver that for customers with like a single view and single like deployment.
I can imagine why this was attractive to you all, but I'd love to hear why you jumped at the chance to join this.
I think, honestly, when I remember when AWS brought to us last year, right, to be part of this launch, I said, man, this is fabulous. Like, this is like, we need to help customers to deploy this and make their life easier, mainly in security, right? Like, security is like something like very complex for organizations, and working with the AWS Built-In team was like trying to simplify lines of code of like deployment through the CloudFormation templates, Terraform, and all that, in like a something that customers just need to bring their APIs and fully integrated with their like a new account, right? Imagine, for example, you are using Control Tower in organizations and you are deploying a massive number of like AWS accounts, right? How you can actually grow those accounts and create like the guardrails that you need.
Right.
Based on like maybe PCI DSS, HIPAA compliance, and all those crazy compliance that people were forcing the developers, as you were complaining a little bit, right?
I love to complain, so don't listen to me.
I can see a little bit of divide because you have the AWS, the cloud people, learning CloudTrail and what they need to bring in and all the security things. But then they say, oh, we want to use this third-party product, this firewall or this security app.
Correct.
And
oftentimes it's because they've been using it for years.
Yeah.
At how do I use this in AWS?
So,
I don't know how.
So then it's like, okay, we've made the decision to do that. Now we have to figure out how to get them to work together, how to get those logs, and I'm making things up, logs in the CloudTrail and the CloudWatch and everything. So it sounds like this is just, it's already set up, you install it, and it's already talking to all the AWS services.
Not always, but that's the idea of like the ABI to simplify that go to customers have like the risk visibility in like a simple pane of glass, right? If you think about like CloudTrail is amazing. It's really, really important for every single organization to make that enable. But I know it's also a little challenge because it's a lot of like amount of data that the customer needs to investigate and like look forward. What we did with like our cloud research team across the globe, we started understanding detection models for like a suspicious activities with like IAM, EC2s, ECS, and all those kind of things.
Right.
And from those detection models, we apply on top of the data from CloudTrail. That's why we have been like one of like the big innovators with like AWS in the security space, because we have been creating these like new technologies with like different like services from AWS, but applying what we like, it's our core.
Right.
It's like a threat intelligence from Trend Micro from over like 35 years, right? I think that's the beauty, like using what we are strong and helping the customers to simplify their usage of like security in AWS and bringing like the value to them.
Yes. This is where we get into the areas that I really love about security that have really helped me to understand it more deeply is more the philosophical side of it, right? Because you're right, CloudTrail is going to keep generating these events as things happen in your AWS account. You use the SDKs, use the APIs. It's logging all of this information. You can either be reactive or proactive.
Correct.
And both of these are challenging in different ways, right? Reactive, you don't have that immediate knowledge of what happened. You're probably doing an investigation. Proactive, you're trying to keep things locked down. You're trying to actively mitigate against attacks, right?
Yeah.
But these things, it's just data in CloudTrail. So that's where Trend Micro comes in to bring in all of the intelligence behind it and make it easier. Because otherwise, I have to build something to go parse that CloudTrail.
But it's more important for organizations to focus in their business and their delivery
for
customers.
They don't want to build these things,
Correct.
right? It has no value other than, well, we have to have this, right?
Yeah. And to put a little scope around everything, you said how great CloudTrail is and that I always tell customers it's like the magnifying glass, making sure who did what and what did what.
Yep.
But the other thing we tell customers is that everything in AWS is an API call. So that means CloudTrail is effectively monitoring every single thing.
Yep.
And that's a lot. I mean, that's a lot for a security team. So any help along those lines is great. Have you seen any good examples of what the AWS Built-In with your product has been able to help customers with specifically?
Yeah, there's this use case with the CloudTrail. That's a very important one, in my opinion, right? There's another one that we integrate with directly with System Manager, right?
Okay.
Where every single new workload that you deploy in AWS, we will automatically deploy what we call a workload security. It's our security agent to protect the shared responsibility area of the customer, the operation system, the applications against vulnerabilities, threats, ransomwares, and all those kind of things, and helping also organizations to achieve compliance, right? That's one of the major areas for us. And the third part, it is the integration with the Security Hub, where we can send all the container runtime that we have directly to the Security Hub if the customer want to create some kind of automations too.
Yeah.
Anything that you think it's important?
No, I think that's big because our customers, they love AWS. The developers, they love using these new services. And traditionally, security teams are sometimes in a position to say, no, don't use that new thing. We don't understand it yet. So now we're kind of allowing them to open the floodgates a little bit, right? Hey, you can use the new stuff because it's all being reported to CloudTrail, and we're monitoring all that activity.
Yeah. I'm doing my job because I'm getting chat riled up in a couple of ways. We're having some debates in here about devs versus security, which is always a fun debate to have. Robert Tables, though, like to call it, sometimes we need to have dinner and just remember we're all on the same team. I also didn't fully clarify my statement there about security. Security has incredible amounts of value, obviously.
Okay, thank you.
But not to maybe pushing forward your business objectives, right? It's operational. It's not going. Oftentimes security is completely not visible to your downstream customers, right? But it is something to keep your business alive.
Exactly.
So it is critical.
You hope it's not downstream to your customers.
You hope. Absolutely. We also are getting a lot of love in chat for Trend Micro. What is it? The scanning, the file storage security from Trend Micro.
Yeah. That's our technology
mind-blowing.
for S3 buckets, right? Basically, how that works, it is every time when you upload a new object to S3 buckets, we can scan right away using the cloud-native technologies with Lambda functions. And if we found any kind of malicious or suspicious information inside those objects, we automatically can quarantine or create any kind of automation that the customer needs, right?
So is that just some triggers and a Lambda function?
Yeah. Any time that an object it is created inside the S3, it triggers our Lambda functions and we can scan right away.
Yeah. So if you don't mind, how does that work? Do you does a customer subscribe to those Lambda functions, or are they shared to them? How does that work?
I actually think this is a really cool product because we're a security company, but we're also AWS users. We build on AWS, so we go to reInvent and we see event creation notifications that can trigger a Lambda function. We can do something with that to help our customers. Object Lambda that was announced, I think, 2 years ago now. Now we can scan files on request from S3 buckets so that you get that scan when they're accessed. So we like building on all these new technologies too. So AWS reInvent, Reinforce, hearing on those new announcements, that's exciting because we are building on AWS as well.
So we have to wrap, unfortunately. This has been amazing. I know I don't want to, but we have other people that we have to talk to.
All good. Appreciate it.
Anything you'd like to leave the audience? What should they go check out?
I think like they should check out like the overall technology for Trend Micro, the cloud one, and also the Vision one. I think those are technologies that can help the customers to simplify their security in the cloud. It is not trying to create friction. It's basically trying to remove the friction that like the developers and the operations for the cloud they have today.
I'm sure we've dropped some links in the chat, but definitely check us out. It's free to try.
Yep.
Cool. Very nice. And I was very happy today to play the role of software dev, antagonizing the security team, as always. Yeah. And we will be right back with more content here at AWS On Air.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.